But behind them lies one of the most haunting and controversial mysteries of modern times, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. This episode, Dumpster Diving Proved, she was gone, never coming back. Madeleine McCann True Crime takes us deep into the shadows of what happened, what wasn't said, and why so many questions remain unanswered. In her memoir, Kate McCann recalled a chilling moment from the early morning after Madeleine vanished. She wrote about lifting the lid of a large dumpster and whispering to herself, "Please God, don't let her be in here." It's a short sentence, but it carries the crushing weight of a mother's worst fear. That line also quietly confirmed something crucial. She and Jerry McCann searched through bins themselves in the dark hours before sunrise. And they didn't tell the police about it at first. Between 5 and 7 a.m. on May 4th, 2007, the morning after Madeleine was reported missing, the McCanns left their apartment while their twins slept inside. They knocked on a friend's door and asked for someone to watch the children while they went out. Only later did a local witness, Paulo Neto, report seeing them walking alone near the street at dawn. For years, this 2-hour window wasn't part of their police statements. It slipped into public knowledge slowly, like a secret surfacing by accident. And in that silence, people began to wonder, what was happening during those hours when no one knew where they were? Praia da Luz was a quiet village, half asleep in those early hours. Dumpsters dotted the streets, especially near the Ocean Club and the restaurant where the group had been dining. The McCanns knew the area well. They were avid runners. They jogged through winding paths, side streets, and shortcuts that only locals or dedicated joggers might ever discover. That knowledge meant they could move around unseen, finding secluded routes if they wanted to avoid being spotted. What troubles investigators and followers of the case is what happened to the bins themselves. They weren't searched immediately. By the time police inspected them on May 7, 4 days later, they had already been emptied by municipal garbage collectors. Their contents were compressed, trucked away, and dumped into a section of the Barlavento landfill known as Cell C. That cell was active from 2006 to 2010, meaning any trace from those crucial days now lies meters underground, buried beneath years of waste and dirt. The idea that Madeleine's remains could have been carried away in that waste system is a grim one, but it is also hauntingly possible. Landfill conditions destroy nearly everything. Cotton pajamas like the ones she wore would decompose quickly. Small bones break under the crushing weight of refuse. If something was hidden there, time has almost certainly erased it. But the dumpsters aren't the only detail that lingers in the dark. There's the story of the Smithman e-fit, a facial composite drawn in 2008 based on the account of Martin Smith, an Irish holidaymaker. On the night Madeleine disappeared, Martin and his family saw a man carrying a little blonde girl in pink pajamas around 10 p.m. He seemed purposeful, calm, almost determined. Months later, back home, Martin saw footage of Jerry McCann carrying his child off a plane and felt a cold recognition. He told police he was 60 to 80% sure Jerry was the man he had seen that night. Oakley International, the private investigators hired by the McCanns with money from the Find Madeleine Fund, created e-fits based on the Smith family's description. Those images, eerily resembling Jerry, were locked away. Legal threats stopped them from being released. It wasn't until 2013, 5 years later, that they finally appeared.
No evidence that Madeleine is dead.
But then you hear
let me finish, please. There's absolutely no evidence that Madeleine is dead, and there's absolutely no evidence that we were involved in a disappearance. Well, that is the conclusion.
Let me finish.
That is the conclusion of the process, and that's what we're here debating. The conclusions of the process versus the conclusions of the book. They are not the same.
The conviction of the inspectors.
Why would we be shocked? We're not denying the existence. Why would we be shocked? We're not denying the existence of the dogs or anything else. It's evidence we're interested in. There is no evidence that Madeleine is dead.
Jerry,
that is what you heard yesterday. You heard that, didn't you?
This is just raking up old ground, isn't it, Jerry?
No. Today we are here
But the police...
No, hang on. They're not raking up. This is a
It's
legal...
not for you, you're right.
This is a legal process that we're going through to protect our daughter and our family.
But there's nothing new being said by the police,
Of
is there?
course there's not. And that's the point. You know, we're looking for new information to help the search. The question, of course, is who is looking for Madeleine, who has been looking for Madeleine over the last 2 years? And that is us and our investigation team.
Mr. Amaral said to me...
The more you look, the more small omissions begin to form a pattern. The early morning walk wasn't shared until 4 years later in a book. The E-Fits sat in silence for half a decade. Even the map in Kate's memoir has been questioned. One section oddly mislabels the area where the Smiths saw the man, placing a supermarket where none existed. Was it a mistake? Or was it something else? A quiet attempt to nudge attention away from a sensitive spot on the map? Those choices matter. In any missing child investigation, the first hours are everything. Witnesses are fresh, memories are sharp, leads can still lead somewhere. But with Madeleine, key information dripped out slowly over years. By then, the edges had blurred. This doesn't mean guilt can be proven. It doesn't mean the worst suspicions are true. But the silences are loud. Every missing fact creates space for speculation. And every delay in sharing critical details feels like a wall going up around the truth. Kate and Jerry McCann weren't just parents. They were doctors. Their careers, their reputations, and their custody of their twins were all at risk if any suggestion of wrongdoing surfaced. Maybe that explains some of the choices. Maybe it was panic. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe it was something more deliberate, a way to shape what the world saw and didn't see. The McCanns hired one of Britain's most elite PR firms to manage the story. The Find Madeleine website became a curated hub, showing some leads and quietly leaving out others. It's a strategy that some call narrative control, and it worked, at least for a while. But no matter how carefully a story is shaped, questions find their way through the cracks. To this day, the 2 hours between 5 and 7 a.m. remain unaccounted for. The bins Kate feared opening were emptied and their contents vanished forever. The E-Fits that might have stirred new leads were kept in the dark for years. And the only independent witness who might have seen Madeleine carried away was quietly pushed to the background. If Madeleine's story ended in that landfill, her grave is sealed. If the truth is something else entirely, it's buried beneath layers of time, decisions, and secrets. What's certain is this: the longer the silence lasts, the harder it will ever be to hear the answers. Thank you for watching Why I Killed You TV. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because only by asking the hard questions and refusing to stop searching can cases like this ever find the truth that's still missing.
I hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.